What you gonna do with all that junk inside your trunk? I'm gonna get you drunk. Get you drunk on my homes. My homes.
My head is like an iPod on shuffle for some reason. Like certain days, I'll just have these random ass songs like appear in my head, and then I'll start singing them out of nowhere. And this is like just random songs that I haven't heard in forever. Like, I don't get it. Hello everyone. Today I am going to be telling you guys a recent story time that is kind of funny now, but at the time that it happened, it wasn't so funny to me. You guys might get a good laugh out of it, but this is going to be a story time about a mouse. Yes, a mouse. Literally just happened, I believe it was last week. It was Thursday night and it brought back a lot of memories. I know that I made a video talking about these noises that me and my dad were hearing in our attic. I believe this video was called Weird Events Are Happening or something along those lines. This was recently. I made a video talking about these noises that me and my dad were hearing in our attic, and that my cats kept staring at something underneath the stove in our kitchen and kept staring at something in our bathroom. So I did not clarify that these things were paranormal. I just said that they were weird because I couldn't explain them, you know, and a lot of odd stuff was happening at the time. So I believed, at first, I'm going to be honest, I thought maybe it could have been paranormal. I found out that it wasn't paranormal after all. It was actually something that was explainable. This is the reason why you have to really try and debunk certain things, because there could be like a logical explanation and reasoning for some of the stuff that's happening to you. I would like to say that every time me and my dad tried to look underneath my stove or we looked in the bathroom, we never seen anything for ourselves. We're also very clean people. Like, we try to keep food off the floors, you know, we sweep and vacuum every single day. We clean every week or so, you know. I like to think we're very clean people, so I don't know like how or why these mice are getting into our house. Before I get into the story that actually happened the other night, I would like to tell you guys a little funny story that happened whenever I first got my cat Dutchie. And I believe I talked about this in a video in the past, but it was a long time ago. There was one time when I first got my cat Dutchie. She kept going into our bathroom for some reason. We couldn't understand why she was going in there. And she would sit for hours at a time. I mean, it was like day and night she would sit in there like she was searching for something. And my mom was like, well, she's probably after a mouse. You know, you'll know one day if she comes through here and she has a mouse in her mouth. And because she was my cat, and cats like to bring you presents of like the mice and stuff that they catch. So I'm like, she's probably going to come to me because I'm her owner. At the time, my dad worked, and usually it was just, my sister still lived at home, and it was usually just like me, my mom, and my sister here, so all three of us girls. One day, Dutchie was in our bathroom, and I believe it was me and my mom and my sister were in our living room. I believe we were talking, watching a movie or something, and we heard a noise. It was like a squeaky noise. It was very high pitched. And my mom is like, oh no, she caught that mouse. She runs into the bathroom, takes one look at Dutchie and the mess she made, and was like stumbling to get the hell out of there. Me and my sister followed behind her. We're all three standing in the hallway. Here comes Dutchie, sure enough. Oh, it was so disgusting. Here comes Dutchie with this poor little ground mole. Its lifeless body is hanging out of her mouth with its insides and everything just like hanging out of it. My mom took off running first, then it was my sister, and I somehow got into the very back of this line. And here comes Dutchie approaching me with this ground mole and its grossness hanging out of her mouth like she's getting ready to give it to me as a present. So like I'm stumbling, I almost tripped. We're all like running into the living room, screaming our heads off. 3 women in a house with a cat and a dead ground mole. She had set it down. I believe my mom took it outside. But when we looked in the bathroom, it was so gross. I don't even want to really recall what happened, like what was in our bathroom, but like there were guts and blood everywhere. It was so graphic and disgusting. But Dutchie is a good mouse killer. If you're looking for a cat that catches mice, Dutchie would be the one to go to, because for as long as I've had that cat, she has caught most of the ground moles or mice, and there hasn't been many. That was the story that this reminded me of. Now I'm going to tell you guys the recent story that just happened a couple of days ago with my cats. I would like to say that I think that there may be like a nest of mice somewhere in my home. Not exactly sure where or like how they got in here or where they really came from. I like to kill them, you know, like I'd rather somehow catch them and then let them loose outside. I'm not an animal killer. Like I love animals and I don't want to hurt them, even though I'm afraid of them and I kind of find them disgusting. Like I still don't want to like hurt them in any way. It started off with me and my dad hearing like this scratching sound in our ceiling. And at first, you know, I thought it was like my cat's doing something, because sometimes my little orange cat Cuddles, like if I let her in my room, she'll come underneath my bed and, you know, she'll start scratching at something underneath there. She's a very curious cat, so that's normal for her. And one night when I was going to sleep, I heard that scratching noise and I thought, oh no, Cuddles got in my room. So I looked underneath my bed with a flashlight. She's nowhere to be found. My cat Rocco's sitting on my floor looking up and looking around like, what is that? It was this, I'm assuming mouse or rat or something up in our ceiling. We still haven't found that out. Something was in my ceiling scratching and I was like, oh no. So kind of like tapped the ceiling with my hand and it stopped. My dad had been hearing it in our living room as well and was doing the same thing, and anytime you would tap the ceiling, this mouse or whatever it was would just stop. The other night I had my cat Wubsy in my room and it's all quiet. It's just me and my dad here. My dad's in the living room and you can hear like something crawling across the ceiling, like there's something in my attic walking around. And I'm like, oh God. And my cat Wubsy, his ears are just like perked up. His eyes are all bright. He's staring at whatever the heck this thing is in our ceiling. Out of all the places in our house this mouse could have chosen, it chooses to be above my room. And I know it's in the ceiling. It can't really like get down here. But where my ceiling fan was placed in my ceiling, there was like a hole around it where they had to cut out to place my ceiling fan up in there. And us being the hillbillies that we are, we chose to take some duct tape and apply it around the ceiling fan for like a quick fix. So if this mouse, you know, wanted to, I don't really want it to hear me, because if it hears me, it may do this. If it really wanted to, it could easily chew through this duct tape and fall onto my bed or onto my floor. And that freaks me out. And then there was one night, I think it was last week or the week before last, I walked into my room. 2 of my cats were in my room, which was Dutchie and Rocco. There's this little tiny field mouse sitting in my floor. Half of its butt had been like ate off. This is very disgusting and graphic, I'm sorry. Half of its butt had been ate off and it was dead. It was laying in the floor of my bedroom. I started freaking out. My dad comes in here and he's like, what? He takes one look at it. He gets something to get it up with and takes it outside. So that was the first incident where it gets funny. The other night, I'm just now crawling into bed. I took a sleeping pill. My sleeping pill was kicking in. I was so excited to lay my head down on that pillow and get me some sleep. Turned the light out, crawled into bed. I'm just about dozed off, just about asleep, when I hear a noise at my door. My black cat Wubsy was in her bathroom, like right before I went to sleep, staring at whatever the heck that was in the bathroom. I'm thinking, oh no, he caught the mouse. I looked down on my floor, like I peeked my head up. My cat Rocco jumps onto the floor because he always sleeps with me on the side of my bed. And he's looking at something, like chasing something with his eyes underneath my bed. And I am petrified. Like, I could not move. I was sitting on my bed. I was so scared to like jump up out of my bed and like run out of my door because I was afraid that if I did, this mouse was going to come out at my feet. I faced my fear. I jumped out and I ran outside because my dad was outside at the time. And I'm like, they chased a mouse into my bedroom. My dad's like, oh great. He's usually the one that has to fight to find them because I'm a chicken and I'm afraid of mice. He comes into the bedroom. He has a flashlight. I put on some like snow boots that I have. And he's searching underneath my bed, which is like, it's clean underneath, but I put my shoes underneath there. Like I stuffed my shoes underneath there and like my makeup. And so he's like trying to move all this stuff away and take this flashlight and search for this mouse. And he didn't believe me at first, I don't think. He's like, are you sure it was a mouse? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it was a mouse. Rocco was watching it. Wubsy chased it in here. And finally he's like, I seen it. And he starts laughing because he knows that I'm afraid of it. And I'm like, are you serious? Did you really see it? Or are you just playing with me? Because like sometimes he'll joke around just to like see what I'll do, you know. He searches for it for a good amount of time. He's getting angry because it's like almost 2 o'clock in the morning at this point. He's getting angry. Me and him are arguing. I'm like, it's not my fault they chased a mouse in here. I was getting ready to go to sleep. And he wasn't angry at me. He was just frustrated that he had to search for this mouse and try and catch it when, you know, I have like all this junk in my room, like in the way. Literally pulled my bed out. My dad's about to give up. Oh my god, you guys. Oh my god. So, Cusco, the giant llama that I always have sitting on my bed, other night when I'm going to sleep, I set him on the floor. I decided to lift up Cusco. My life flashed before my eyes. I lifted up that stuffed llama and outran this little gray mouse towards my freaking feet. Of all places it could have ran, it ran towards my feet. I screamed, about had a heart attack. My dad almost had a heart attack. I ran, like darted so fast out of my room. My dad's like, give me something to get it with. So, you know, I gave him the broom and he was unsuccessful. The thing ran back underneath my bed and he couldn't find it after that. I want to say it's like 2 a.m., almost 2:30 in the morning. And I'm like, I'm not going to sleep in this room. I know I will not be able to sleep with a mouse on the loose in my bedroom. Dad's like, why can't you just sleep on the couch? I'm like, I can't sleep on the couch. You'll wake me up. Like, I get very angry when it comes to not getting enough sleep. Like, if I don't get enough sleep, I am the biggest freaking baby. I'm going to call Josh, see if he'll let me stay the night with him. I called my boyfriend at 2:30 in the morning. He's like, what's going on? So, I'm like, well, you see. And I told him the story of what had happened with my cats chasing a mouse.
Really, you called me at 2:30 in the morning because your cats chased a little tiny mouse into your bedroom?
And I'm like, yes, I did.
Yes, I did.
Like, I'm serious about this shit. Like, I don't want to sleep in my room with a damn mouse on the loose. And I was like, I was wanting to see if I could come stay the night with you. So, he's like busy playing a video game. He wasn't answering me. I was so frustrated. I hung up on him. I'm sorry, boo. So I'm like, just drive me to Josh's house. Me and my dad get in the car at almost 3 o'clock in the morning. Drove all the way to Josh's house. Josh lives about like 45 minutes away from where I live. It's really not even that far, but It's a long trip if you're driving somewhere at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're tired. Made my dad drive me all the way to my boyfriend's house at 3 o'clock in the morning. I bang on his door, he opens it up, and he's just laughing at me, and I'm like, it's not funny. So I ended up trying to sleep in his bed. He was up like half the night talking to himself, playing this daggone video game. I was so mad at him. He could probably tell. Josh, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, baby. I ended up going to bed, or sleep that night at 6 o'clock in the morning. I barely got any sleep at all. I was so tired. Oh my god. But I was very grateful that my boyfriend let me stay with him because he was just like, you gotta go back home. Like, I think what it was with him was that he did not want to make my dad drive to his house at 3 o'clock in the morning just because of a little tiny mouse. I didn't really think it through, to be honest. I was just afraid of the mouse, and that was all I could think about. So I did this action on impulse. But yeah, I ended up getting some sleep that morning with Josh. My dad came there. He apparently didn't sleep well that night either. The next day, I came back home, and I decided that I was going to search for this mouse myself. I put on my snow boots again. I brought the broom, a flashlight. I pulled everything out from underneath my bed. Didn't see anything. I looked every inch in my room where that mouse could have been. I did not see one single thing. So I'm like, okay, whatever. As long as it's like hidden somewhere. I went to sleep that night not thinking anything of it. I was so tired I couldn't have cared less if the mouse at this point crawled into my bed with me. I didn't care. I was tired. I was out. And I did hear a bunch of commotion that night. And then my dad had told me, like, he came to my door and he was like,
Melanie, I don't know if you're asleep or not, but I was just going to tell you, you don't have to worry about that mouse anymore because Wubsy caught it.
My dad told me that Wubsy, my little black cat Wubsy, was sitting in our hallway. And my dad heard a bunch of commotion. Here comes Wubsy running through the hallway. He has the mouse in his mouth. It's alive. He brought it into the living room. And my dad had to catch it and stuff. So yeah, Wubsy caught the mouse. However, I do still believe that there are some mice still lurking somewhere in my home. So yeah, that was my little story. I hope you guys find it funny and get a good laugh out of it. I think it's funny now, but at the time that it happened, I didn't find it so funny. You guys definitely be sure to leave me a comment and let me know what you would have done. Are you afraid of mice? Let me know if you're afraid of mice, if something like this has ever happened to you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a big old thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and become a Morbid Maniac. And I will see you guys in my next video.